So this is the 5th Unearthed Arcana article, which deals with psionics. Three of which dealt with the mystic, which, according to this one, is being kind of tossed aside. So this is technically the current psionics project, part 2, which is a combination of a couple other ones, and one that was actually kind of a bonus psionic. It was actually a kind of, this might be actually 6. This is very complicated. Welcome to Intelligence 14 Wisdom 2, and today we're having a bit of an interesting topic because it's not new stuff, it's revised stuff. We have the old stuff like two feet away, and so we're going to take a look and compare the two, what they think is good and bad about the previous stuff, and take a little bit of look at what might be the new direction psionics is taking. So I'm going to cover the Psi Knight, which was originally the Psionic Warrior, and I'm going to cover the Soulknife, which was originally the Soulknife. I may cover the Psionic Soul and the feats and things like that, but I really want to focus on these two subclasses because I did videos about them before, which you can find up here. So finally getting into the meat of the video, let's talk about the Psi Knight. And so the first thing that happens is, as part of the new psionic system, that's all based around this psionic talent dice, the original 2 abilities they got at 3rd level, well 3, but the first 2 is the Augmented Defenses and Augmented Strikes. They are altered in such a way. Now defenses can apply to other people, and strikes is changed to more of a slamming them with telekinesis as opposed to zapping them with psychic damage. Now with the protected field, as it's now called, it's got a higher minimum because it's fueled by your intelligence, which should be pretty decent, and so assuming you have like a +2 intelligence and you haven't gone too long into the combat, they should deal about an average of 5.5 points of damage, which is the average of the D10 that it is in the Psi Warrior. Now the difference is this one, its damage can go up and down depending on the psionic talent dice, and also your intelligence modifier. So you can get to things like, I think it's at very high levels, you could get it to be like 11.5 damage on average, assuming you're at your highest, the D12. But regardless, I think it's about the same power level, or the same power level as we're going to get, given the fact that the psionic talent dice is now a thing which governs most of the subclass. We're going to go to a telekinetic strike. This one got a slight buff. It's still once per turn, but it's now a D6, which can go down to a D4, which it was in the Psi Warrior. So I think this is a buff because I was saying that really the barbarian the barbarian naturally outclasses it when it's raging, which might not be a good thing. I think if we're going for the randomness, this is dice as opposed to straight damage, then the average should be around the barbarian. It's supposed to be 1 in 6 chance of doing as much damage as the barbarian. But anyways, I like telekinetic strikes. It's going to get even better in a bit. But first we have to take a side jump and go to psi-powered leap. And this one involves a lot of math. Now, not to say math isn't bad in D&D. We are nerds after all, or at least some of us are. But anyways, this is a bunch of math to get how much added jumping it is. Again, assuming +2 intelligence or something like that, this is going to be about an 11-foot result. So that's basically +10 movement, +10 extra jump. But this is very specific because this is +10 jump that's not limited by your movement speed, which is usually 30 feet. And so this is the problem with some of the jumping things, like with I think it was the Path of the Beast, which I made a video about. But anyways, the Path of the Beast, they have a jumping thingy. But the problem is, sometimes you can get so good at jumping that you reach the max amount of jumping you can do, which is capped by your movement speed for that round. But anyways, this psi-powered leap is not affected by that, which I think is a really neat feature, because you're going beyond the mortal bounds of physicality with your mind for some reason. Now, before we get to the next features, I just want to make a comment on the psionic talent die. I will probably be doing another video about that, like the specific mechanic, because there's a lot of interesting stuff about it that I want to get into. But I'm just going to assume that you can read, and it is up there in the document if you would like to read it. Going back to the Psionic Warrior, they originally had this ability called Telekinetic Hand, which basically gave him Mage Hand. I didn't like this because I felt like that it should be like just telekinesis, like you can move stuff. with your mind, as opposed to it's a spell, but it's invisible and altered in such a way that you have to reflavor it as telekinesis, like straight telekinesis. So that happened, and it's better. So it's called telekinetic movement, and this is I think it's a medium or medium or some size of object, not just the 10 pounds that Mage Hand can do. So it's much better, and you can move it for 30 feet, which I think is about the same as Mage Hand. So I like the idea of having, like, specifically you have telekinesis, not Mage Hand but invisible. But one of the things I don't like about it is that the fact that every time you use it, you decrease your psionic talent die by 1, or by one of the increments. I think it's not good enough. Like, maybe in some situations, like, move a rock to block the cave or something like that, or move it to help solve your puzzle or get through a section. Anyways, I think it's not enough. Like, maybe it should be just a roll, and then you have the chance to decrease it. But again, I'll talk about maybe that idea in the video about psionic talent dice. Now, another thing I said, the augmented strikes, or the telekinetic strike, is made better, and it's in this feature. So you get to, when you do that, you can also knock them back. You can knock them prone or push them 10 feet back. Now, it's once per turn, so you can't really do the open hand thing and just knock them around the battlefield, just charge after them, pull them away from your allies. But it's decent. I think most people will knock them prone unless they can knock them into an area of effect, which is some cool battlefield maneuvering that I think the telekinesis subclass should be able to have fun with. Now, there is a new feature at level 10, Psi Enhanced Metabolism. The feature continues the tradition of defenestrating poison damage as something that is a thing at all. But we're just going to move on to Telekinetic Bulwark, which was, I think, Psionic Bulwark or something like that in the Psi Warrior. Now, this is moved to level 15, and it doesn't have the thing where it's strength saving throws, that you get advantage on strength saving throws if you're affected by this. Its range is increased from 10 feet to 30 feet, and there's a specific number of creatures you can target, which is just a little bit of minutia. So it looks like maybe the half cover, which is +2 AC, +2 to Dex saves, and then advantage on strength saves is too good for a 10th level feature, so they move it up, and it's just half cover at 15th level. If that's the case, I guess that's what the designers say, and I'm going to trust them on that. The next one is the 18th level ability, which is telekinesis, and it basically replaces the telekinetic movement, because you get this for 10 minutes. You can target unwilling creatures, and it's a higher limit. It's 1,000 pounds you can move, and again for 10 minutes. So overall, it's much better than the telekinetic movement with the same cost. And here, I think the cost of decreasing your psionic talent die is justified. You're getting 10 minutes of moving stuff around. You can do a lot in puzzle dungeons, in moving rubble, or castle, anything with castles, because there's lots of stuff in castles. But anyways, I think that's a good 18th level ability, that it's better than what Eldritch Knights can get, which is 14th. They can only get 4th level spells, whereas this is a 5th. And again, it really ties in the theme of this is a telekinesis subclass, which is really nice about it. Before, it was the Psionic Warrior, the previous version, was telekinesis and a bit of psionic and psychic damage, but now it's just basically telekinesis, which I think is pretty good. So overall, I like the focus on telekinesis. I like the fact that it's got a lot of team player abilities, like the bulwark ability, the defenses ability, but it also is one thing that's interesting. This is a Jedi subclass in disguise. You got Psi Leap, strikes, throwing people around with telekinesis. It's a Jedi subclass. I know we're going to move on to the Soulknife, which I really love at least the theme of this. And they made a lot of changes. They, again, implemented the psionic talent dice as a thing, which is part of the subclass, the way it functions. So one thing it did is it replaced the psionic enhancements with just two things. One, a telepathy, and one, a psi-bolstered knack, it's called. It's a way to increase your ability at skills, which I like, because the rogue is a skill-focused thing. And so, whereas the Psi Knight had, defenses and attacks and leaps, which fit into that theme of battlefield and such, whereas Knacks skills is a rogue thing. They're good at skills. They have a lot of skills. They eventually basically get expertise in all of them. That the one time they don't succeed, they can just say, all right, I'm going to try to succeed again. I would say that if you're doing this, as a DM, I would rule you have to describe, like, are you using your mind to persuade them? Are you taking knowledge from other people and trying to figure out how to do that? Or are you telekinetically, I don't know, lifting yourself up the mountain so you can climb, things like that? That's the thing I would add, just like as a personal rule. But the other thing we have here, and this one might need a bit of nerfing, is the Psychic Whispers. This is a telepathy with a couple people over a range of a mile. I also like the ability that you can just, like, you don't have to see the target necessarily, you can just activate the link. It's just like you keep the phone line on, you just don't talk or anything. I like that, but what I don't like is the range. It's a range of a mile. So there's another thing, the Great Old One Warlock, they get their their telepathy ability at 3rd level, and it's like 30 feet, maybe it's 60 feet. And as somebody who has DM'd for a Goo Warlock, that's like their whole thing. The player loved messing with people with telekinesis, and they also had Disguise Self, which made it even crazier. So when we have a thing at 3rd level that gives you telepathy for a mile, I feel like it's kind of like overshadowing the Goo Warlock, which doesn't get that many features, like cool and interesting features, like the Anthropic Ward is just dice and things. The flavor and the cool stuff, the creativeness comes from their telepathy. And so if you take that away by making a much better version over here, then it feels like it's stepping out of the Goo Warlock. Now these Psychic Blades, they're moving stuff around to try to change it. I think originally it was just a d6, not a d6 plus the ability modifier for damage, which is how weapons normally work. This is just a psychic weapon, so it should work the same, just with psychic damage. But there is a thing that I have problems with, and it's the fact that you can make a second attack, and it only does a d4. The problem is that you can take out 2 short swords and do a d6 with each one, and one of them gets the ability modifier to them, but basically you're doing 2d6 with the action and bonus action, whereas here it's a d6 and a d4 with your action and bonus action. It's just really bad design to make things weaker than make a weapon option weaker than the other ones when they're basically the same thing. So moving on from that, we're going to go to the Soul Blades feature, which is their 9th level. And this one originally, in the first Soulknife, this was Terrifying Blades, where you got to do a fear effect on your enemies, which I loved. It's, you're attacking their mind. Of course you would do this kind of thing to them with Psychic Blades. Not just do damage, but it's psychic damage. I love that feature, so I'm sad that it's not in this version, but the things that we do get here, they're good. They're on like an equal caliber. So the first one is Homing Strikes, and this one is similar to the Nax, the Psion powered Nax, where you add another dice when it looks like you're going to miss. Now it does have a cost, that is that the Psionic talent die goes down, but here, I think it's balanced. It's not like the telekinesis of the Psi Knight, which is it's not really that worth it to do it, but this here, if you can get sneak attack by landing this blow, then it's worth it, because then your damage increases tremendously, and so in that case, it's worth decreasing your talent dice. It's a good trade-off, this feature. Now the other one is Psychic Teleportation, and this one I like the fact that it's maximum possible result, not just a roll the dice and you go that times 5 feet, because you could end up teleporting 5 feet, which is, it's useful in some situations, but it's not what you want when you want teleportation. You want to go. So this one allows you a range equal to the maximum dice size, which I like. Now the Psionic Veil, this one, I love this feature. The only changes made here is that before it was an intelligence mod number of uses. Now it is a first use free. The next ones have costs, which is decreasing the die size. I see that, I see the idea of it being a decreased psionic talent die by 1. I did say it was a little bit on the high end of 13th level abilities for rogues. Maybe it's good. I still have to. Still haven't made up my mind about how good the reduction of number of times you can use it is. And then the last one is Rend Mind, and this one got a lot of little tweaks here and there that I think made the whole feature much better. The first one is, instead of it being a separate attack, like before it was an action and they make a save and then they do the set amount of damage, 12d6, and then the effect happens. Here, it's when you land sneak attack, you can do this additional thing. And I like that. It makes it simpler. You don't have to keep track of, so what your sneak attack is what at this point, 8d6 or 9d6, and you're doing 12d6 this time, and then 9d6 the next round. Cool. Not cool. What? So I like the fact that it's simpler. Another thing I feel is a bit off is the wisdom saving throw as opposed to intelligence. Before, it was an intelligence save, which is less common and less good, so more likely to land. This one is a wisdom saving throw, which is more common. More monsters are more likely to succeed against this. I guess they're moving it back in line with the Stunning Strike of the Monk, where it's a con save, which is another common saving throw. So a common saving throw resists a stun. So I see the idea. I feel like you're nerfing it a bit too much, but you do give it a buff that I wanted. I wanted this thing to be given. I wanted it to have this thing, and I talked about it a lot in my review of the first Soulknife. But this one, it's that this target is stunned until the end, not the beginning, of your next turn. So you can actually benefit from stunning them. You can, next round, land a sneak attack because they're incapacitated and such, so they're it's a conditions thing, you get advantage, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I like that because then you can use it yourself. Before, it was just all your friends get to do this thingy, and you get some extra damage, but that's basically it. But now, you get to, if you get a sneak attack this round, you're going to land the next sneak attack next round, which is great. I see I see the reasoning behind turning it into a wisdom saving throw as opposed to an intelligence saving throw, because stunning just totally wrecks action economy. It's very powerful. And overall, I like the way that they've altered Rend Mind to fit what I wanted to happen, and also to make it cleaner and a bit easier to use. And overall, for the Soulknife, I really like this subclass. I continue to like it. I liked it at the beginning when I read it. It's just a really interesting idea of being able to summon blades and attack people with them. Again, I'd love to see terrifying blades make an appearance because I feel that was the Soulknife ability, being able to attack their mind and cause fear in them. But that's not to say I don't like the new additions to their kit. Like I've said before, I really think the Soulknife should have a combat feature with their sneak attack. Like all the other ones, like the Swashbuckler and the Repetitive, they have abilities that allow them to land sneak attack in different ways. And I think the Soulknife should have something like that. And I had an idea for that back in the first video about the Soulknife, which you can find up there. So be on the lookout for that next video about the Psionic Talent Die, which is a very interesting concept, and there's a lot of interesting things, and I'll go over it more in that video. But if you want to see more stuff like this, where I go in-depth into Unearthed Arcana stuff, I'll sometimes try to pick apart the features, see how good they are, maybe they're too good, things like that. Check out this playlist, and I have had a lot of fun with them, and I hope you will too.